So, you all have the ability to use some of your downtime activities to try and gather information or plan for the mission.
The entire time that Ty was doing his back talk, trying to test how far disrespectful he could be in this situation, and they were just like, well, you got to do your job. That lets me know that they're either desperate or they truly just don't give a shit, because they're like, hey, we'll recall the people. Like, no, you won't. You sent them away for a reason, because they probably weren't capable to do this. So the entire time he was planning in his mind while just trying to see how much talk he could do, and he definitely goes to see Ruse in either their quarters or in our forwarding station, because I feel like we've customized our forwarding station just enough, because Ty, being as shady as he can be, I believe one of the things I get is a bug checker just to see like if someone's listening in. And first thing I do, I always walk into a room, check for bugs to make sure no one's listening in. And I just go up to Ruse and I go, you know you gotta hack that system, right?
Which one? I have two plans in front of me. The task they put in front of us and potentially with the summit. I assume you mean the task?
I mean, both accomplish the same thing. You gotta hack that goddamn beam.
Oh, Ty, that's... what do you want to do with that? They're gonna shoot it at Godzilla. What do you want to do with it?
First of all, make sure that it's coded purely to Godzilla's signature so it doesn't hit us as well. I trust you can do that. Mm-hmm. Also, they want to hold him in space? F*** that. My boy Ace wants to kill him? Nah, we gonna shoot that motherfucker into the sun.
Into the sun?
It works the way they wanted him in space. They didn't say where.
I don't know what happens if you shoot a radioactive lizard into the one sun that you have, but
he's not that big.
No, but he's weird, Ty.
Okay, if not sun, black hole.
Farther away.
Are we all here for this, or is it just the two of us?
I think I would have called a team meeting.
I don't, yeah, because this is fine.
I gotta be honest, I like the sun a whole lot more. If we're just splitting hairs.
Well, but also black hole is stretched in pain for all eternity while also slowly dying.
Oh, he doesn't like slow death. He likes quick death. Stomp, stomp, smash. He likes that.
So ask him, black hole or sun?
I can't ask him. I can feel.
Okay, what do you feel if he's leaning left towards sun or right towards black hole?
She closes her eyes, and you've seen her do this before. She just breathes in a couple of times. He doesn't like it either.
A black hole sun.
Let's focus in a little bit. I like where everyone's going with this, but maybe
as Ruse is talking, I'm going to ask Allison to make a roll for me. Survey, I guess, makes the most sense because that is a little bit more of a mind ability. Yeah, go ahead and give me a survey roll.
Okay. A 1 and a 2.
You imagine what Godzilla wants, and you feel that familiar feeling of, I think I'm making a connection with him. And just as you kind of look to see what Godzilla might want, all you see is a big giant foot, and it just lands on you, and you break out of this illusion.
I would like to use Tactical Genius because this is the entire reason I have them on the team. 2 times per mission, you can assist a squad mate without paying stress. Tell us how you prepared for this.
Give me the explanation, and I will allow you to use it.
During this conversation, several times I would have always been looking over at Brain to see like if they dip within themselves. Would you say that it's a bit overwhelming when you do go into it? Is it like 11 trying to use telekinesis and you get a nosebleed type of deal?
maybe not that physical, but you definitely hear like snorting, kind of like emulating Godzilla's mannerisms and noises. In this, instead of like a meditation breathing, it's like a Godzilla breathing.
I always try to ease it into more of a meditation breathing. I'm just going meditative. You sound like sleep apnea. Meditative. Come on.
Okay.
Bring it in.
We gotta get her some Claritin or something before she does all this.
Carol, you are able to roll another die
All right.
because of Darryl's help. Tali's help.
That's a 6. No freaking joke.
Carol, you see the foot of Godzilla coming for you, and you're about, those feelings of a child when you experienced something similar begin to well up inside you, but you feel the calming presence of Tai reminding you to breathe, and the foot kind of slows down, and then it disappears, and you are left standing next to Godzilla. It is your body as a human standing next to Godzilla as if he was a 6-foot-tall person. And you can see into his eyes, and you see the anger and the hate that Godzilla has for humanity. But there is something different today. It feels as if you have a kind of kinship with Godzilla. He almost feels like a distant relative that you've fallen out of favor with and now have the opportunity to make amends. This anger that he carries feels like something that was thrust upon him, and that maybe just with a kind word or a kind gesture, it could be lessened. It's a very difficult feeling to express because it feels so familial. But then you have what you would call a kind of vision. You see Godzilla in space. You see the fleet, Stratos, and the zero beam array traveling through space, and your heart begins to beat like something bad is coming, like something bad is going to happen. Your vision clears and you return to your space, and you're back with your squad mates, and it's probably the most lucid, powerful vision you've had.
Not black hole sun. Not any sun or black hole. Space bad. Bad idea. Dangerous.
Okay. So what does that mean? What does that mean for us?
It means we're supposed to kill him on the ground.
I think she would keep that familial feeling to herself, because I think that disturbs her, because that's kind of the one thing she and Roosevelt have in common, is that they really want to end Godzilla. And so as he says that, she's normally like, yeah, and she just kind of looks away. Yeah, maybe kill him on the ground.
Yeah, that's why we got you around, Brain. Always know the best way to put that down. Okay, we got a game plan now. I mean, if that thing keeps it still, there's no saying that we gotta put it in space, huh? What if we had like a big net? Or we dropped a building on it and then it was stuck to the ground. We keep him grounded, then we've got the ball in our court.
Maybe it sends them to, I don't know,
the core of the earth.
Let's not do that.
Through the goddamn ground.
It's a nuclear monster, and honestly, after I said it and I remembered how the sun actually works, that might have empowered Godzilla much more.
We bury him 6 feet deep.
Here's what I'm thinking. Okay, because the gun has a couple of processes. It slows it down and then it shoots it into space. We just break it before it gets him into space.
Yeah, but then he's not frozen. We got to fight real Godzilla. We're moving around shooting.
So, it sounds like there is a little bit of dissension planning for
almost immediately.
But there is still the mission at hand. Is there anything anyone would like to do in terms of looking up information to help, or just kind of deciding on what the plan of attack would be?
Mine is not going to help this time. I'm looking at starting a clock. That's end game. So if you guys want to, I don't know how that informs you, but that's what I'm shooting for.
I kind of want to reach out to this group on Lake Mead to see if we can establish comms with them quicker.
Okay.
But I think that's a very short deal, and then eventually, how to hack a gun in space would be next.
All right, let's start with Cebi, since you kind of have an idea about what you want to do.
Cebi's just spending this time building like a very big radio. It's easy because there's no one else really putting out a signal other than the summit, but it does have to be physically bigger.
All right, why don't you try to engineer or fabricate something to communicate directly with the team?
Let's go.
It's a 5.
I'm going to say that you build a radio, or whatever the future dystopian equivalent is, and you are able to reach the water reclamation team. The problem is that one of the rovers has stopped working, and the rest of the team doesn't want to abandon them. And so while 2 of the 3 machines could leave, they're sticking around to try and fix the rover that is not working. And you learn that each rover has 3 people aboard it, and that they really are defenseless. Their only machinery that they have are the vehicles and the ability to suction water out of the lake.
I think I relay all of that to the team, and then tell them to stay put, and we should be there soon. I also say, is there anything y'all want to tell him?
I got nothing, honestly. You got any booze?
You guys have booze?
No, Altitopians aren't allowed to drink booze.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Tell him we're gonna kill Godzilla.
We're gonna kill Godzilla.
I hope you do, certainly before he gets to us.
No guarantees on that, but don't tell him that.
Tell him to look up. Always look up.
I think Cebi's had the button down this whole time, so the whole conversation. They've heard the whole thing.
I just go, save it.
Yeah.
Hand off the button.
Rock.
Yeah, as you lift up the button, they're in mid-sentence, and they're like, who's this squad?
Checks out.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, we were keying. Anything you heard was just keying, sorry.
Come save us, please.
Yes, we are. We are on our way. Last flag. Planted.
Ruse, I believe there was another gather information roll you actually wanted to make about the array.
Yeah, at first I think the start of the clock is just like, are there plans available for this beam that I can access?
You are going to make a gather information roll. Because it's a fortune roll, you're going to roll 2 and pick the lowest one.
Oh, it's a 5 and a 6.
Wow. Well, a 5 is still technically a success, but there is a slight complication. You cannot find anything. It is like it doesn't exist. Similar to this mission, as you are now a redacted squad. It is clear that if this has been part of the summit's plan from the beginning, they have never told anyone except the individuals closest to the summit. However, you do learn of the man who is responsible for its creation, a scientist, a theoretical physicist named Dr. Serizawa. And you are able to learn that Dr. Serizawa has already been sent to the Stratos. So, if you did want to learn more about the array and how to affect it, you'd have to speak to the man who created it.
Okay, cool. I think I'm good with that for now.
I would like to use the manufacture portion of it for one, and the other one, I was gonna go schmooze, but I don't care anymore. I'm gonna use cut loose and take brain out to remove some stress. For manufacture, I would like, unbeknownst to anyone, to have escape pods placed into each of their mechs. Functionally, the portion that they actually physically sit in, they will have a button that will eject that part out as a whole. And I don't want them to know about it, but it'll just look like, oh, there's been an additional button put in. Don't press it. I would also like and basically a master command key put in mine that I can eject all of them whenever I want to.
Oh, damn.
Normally, I would say this is a long-term project. I think that you can do so, but it's going to be at a little bit of a cost as you're kind of rushing it into production. I'm going to say that at least one material from the squad playbook will need to be spent if you currently have 2 points in material. And you're going to need to succeed. Is there a particular skill that you wanted to use?
Yeah, I was going to say be command.
I think that it's okay. Go ahead and use command.
Don't screw me this time. Screw me on that one. Come on. That's a 3 and a 4.
I think that they can install jump seats into all of the mechs, but they cannot give you the master switch. It's just too much programming and not enough time. The other wrinkle to this is that technically having something like this would be considered an extra bit of load for the machine, for the vehicle. So I'll say that it exists, but unless the player decides to use it, it will not be part of the load. So it's not going to count against anybody, but it is there.
Honestly, I'd rather them just have it. I just wanted to be able to say, you know what, you're done. But I'll forego that knowing that my team has an out. This is the type of thing that I hate to say it. This is what my character would do. It's a subtle manipulation, but it's for good? Question mark?
It's in character. Yeah, for sure. So why don't you guys both work together to describe to me what this scene looks like? Where do you go to cut loose, and maybe what is said between the two of you?
Where would you say Carol's favorite place to go is?
Well, I mean, she really likes the bunk, in the bunk room where all of her stuff is. So you'd have to convince her to really go anywhere else. She likes going places in the sake of a mission. She was an investigator prior to all this, but, doesn't really know how to relax, per se.
Under the guise of, hey, I'm gonna go investigate some stuff, I would take Carol to what is the equivalent to like a bar, even though we don't alcohol's not a thing. I'm sure there's just like a place for people to cut loose or something of that nature, and I would make it an exercise in Carol's investigative technique to be like, all right, we're gonna go here, and I want you to come back with at least like 3 things about like random people I point at. We'll see if you still got it. That type of deal.
This is better than the Ruse test. This is better. This is good. This is good. This is something I can do. I can do this. All right. She pops the collar like your shirt that you gave her, and she'll just kind of stalk forward with all the energy of someone that's going somewhere, and then turn around and head to the actual direction of the bar because she wasn't quite sure where it was, and bring her souvenir book of all her Godzilla photos with her. She doesn't want to leave that behind.
And you approach these people and try to read their minds. It doesn't seem to work as well as it seems to work with Godzilla, but 50% of the time you're right. Coin flip. You seem to maybe guess who they are or what they're up to, and Ty is able to confirm or deny it. And it turns out to be kind of a fun time. You enjoy yourselves, and you guys kind of connect a little bit, at least more than you have in a long time. Let's look into what Cut Loose gets for you. So, you heal stress equal to the highest die result. You have 2 ticks in your connection clock, so you may roll 2 dice.
Me or Ty?
We'll say because it's you that is reducing your stress, we'll say that it's Allison.
I rolled 5 and a 6.
Well, I rolled 2 1s, so...
You will heal stress equal to the highest die result, so your stress will go down by 1 at least.
This was really relaxing. I learned that guy's not cheating on his wife. That guy is, and that guy wants to.
Ty takes out a notepad and writes down the name of... This was also a secret way for him to get some shit on some people.
I also showed everyone my Godzilla souvenirs. This is from the time that he stepped on this town. This is from the time that his tail hit this town. Some people don't remember, but I remember all of it. I remember.
How big is the book?
It's like a photo album of like bunch of pages shoved in there, loose leaf, kind of bound together. It's probably like this thick.
Okay, because I was gonna say if it was small enough, he would have definitely had that jacket made with a section. Actually, you know what? There's probably he would have made like a little inseam for your book to go inside. You could do that, just like a zipper, keep it in there.
Her coat is immediately lopsided, but it kind of suits her. The rest of the disheveled look.
So Roosevelt's got 2 bits. I'd like to start a long-term project that I'm calling God (Zilla) killing weapon. I think that Roosevelt goes back to the hangar bay. He goes to his car, which he is called the Dais. He pulls it up on one of those like levitating, floating up elevator bits that come up onto the hangar bay. It's beautiful. It's gunmetal gray with silver piping. It's covered head to toe in NASCAR advertisements. I mean, he's got both Pepsi and Coke on there somehow. And it's just been, mascotted as this uniquely, immediately recognizable vehicle that has been morphed into this mech. It basically sits halfway into this skeletal body that he then sits still in the driver's seat. But I think that he takes out some planning papers. He sets them on the hood, which is essentially he has to get onto a working cherry picker elevator just to get up to the hood. He sets it out. He's got a pencil behind his ear, even though it's all digital. And he starts mapping out these ideas, and it probably looks like drivel to everyone else. It's things like Godzilla float ? Godzilla breathe ? Zero gravity, what is? Google zero gravity. How does lizard respond to space? Like so many different concepts that you can see Roosevelt is tackling before he can even get to what he wants to do. But he begins work on a project that will be on the bottom of his mech, or at least on the bottom of the car inside of his mech, at least.
Got it.
Where he is starting these plans that he believes will lead to the secret to killing Godzilla.
Well, the instructions for long-term projects say that you need to make an attribute roll of some kind. This kind of feels like an engineer role, as you are messing...
That's what I was thinking too.
Messing with the interior. So why don't you give me an engineer roll, and that'll tell us how much progress you make on this clock.
I rolled a 3 twice. Can I push that for a complication roll?
For a collateral die, I think you can push it.
Yeah.
Sure, you can have another die, and I'll say that the complication is this new thing that you're trying to add to the ship is kind of unregulated. You certainly haven't really gone into any detail with other engineers, so there's a chance that it might backfire or not work the way you want it to.
That's what I was thinking. Is I think that he is used to like jury rigging this thing. And every new thing that he adds makes this more of a walking time bomb, right, in the event that anything goes wrong.
Right.
So I'm going to roll that last. We call it a complication die, right?
It's a collateral die. So
collateral die.
You've traded with me something that is guaranteed to happen in the future for closer success. So I'm basically saying in the future you're going to have some kind of complication with this weapon that could be solved with as simple as another action roll.
Got it. I rolled a 5 with that extra.
Okay. A 4 or a 5 allows you to fill 2 segments of your clock, and I will say that this is an 8-sided clock is fair.
That makes sense. I plan on doing this nearly every time that I get downtime with Roosevelt. It'll be at least one of them.
Gotcha.
So I think 8 totally makes sense. Yeah, he spends all that time designing and everything. And I was wondering also if we could just call this, like he spends extra time doing this to accomplish enhance, which is sort of like adding on to the vehicle itself. And I think that this weapon eventually, will turn into a quirk along with this. I see
what you're saying. Yeah, we'll call it some kind of enhancement, some kind of secret super weapon project for Roosevelt. Although I'm curious as to where he's gotten the engineering to do this, but I'm sure he'll
My
figure it
friend,
out.
he's been working on that car since he was driving for NASCAR.
Carol, you are the last member of this team who has not done anything. If you'd like to do any kind of downtime activities or gather information, you can.
So one question about my drive clock. One of my drives was to pass that Ruse test. And that was kind of our opening scene. So I don't know if that is full now or if there's kind of like just big picture to keep passing Ruse tests. That's a forever goal of mine.
We'll say that you did succeed in passing that drive, that you accomplished that drive, and I will allow you to put a point into your drive clock, so you'll now have 2 instead of 1. And it's time to pick a new drive.
Oh, wow. So I think based on what happened in her vision, and this will tie into her downtime activity too. So Carol has spent her whole life in the shadow of a footstep, literally hating this creature that took everything from her and feeling some sort of empathy for it or some sort of familial relation with it has really just shaken her to her core. So I feel like her drive will be to understand the meaning of that feeling. Because am I correct in saying she's never felt that particular feeling before?
No, it is a very unusual feeling, and it is new.
Well, her other drive was to kind of understand what her psychic connection is for. So I don't know if that is the one that could have 2 ticks or...
Yeah, I think that's okay. We'll just say that tick, that has 2 ticks in it, and the other drive clock, which you just mentioned, which is to come to understand this strange familial feeling you have with Godzilla, we'll say that that's at 0 out of 4.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
So in pursuit of this, she was going to spend time studying whatever she could find about, like, anecdotes of Godzilla, reports of Godzilla, anyone who has ever shown sympathy. I know there's some sects out there that are sympathetic to him, so maybe just trying to find information about the other side, the other perspective, to kind of understand what just flitted across her brain.
Sure. Go ahead and make a gather information roll. You're going to roll the 2 die and choose the lower of the 2 options. I will give you...
Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm being very obtuse. I think my ultimate goal is to maybe gain a skill. I noticed in downtime you can train.
Okay.
So I was thinking about using that to train and study. And like that would be my main goal, though, is to find out about kind of Godzilla's cultural history.
Sure, that makes sense to me. When you expend time bettering yourself, mark 1 attribute XP or 1 playbook XP. If you have the right squad training upgrade, mark 2 XP. We'll say that this, it sounds like this is simply a free thing. You may add 1 XP to the attribute pool that study is under. Under insight.
Gotcha. Yep.
And so this looks like you're just, going over the Cognistream and all materials that you can find, trying to find the folks that are sympathetic to Godzilla.
Yep.
As you do so, you are correct that there are subsects, we'll call them individuals and groups that were banished from Altitopia. And there are 2 different groups. One is known as the Blasphemers. These are folks that take a very religious approach to Godzilla. They believe that he is quite literally the god of the earth and that it is our duty to worship him. And then there is the more scientific approach by the naturalists. These are folks, oftentimes scientists or engineers, that have come to the conclusion that Godzilla is a kind of natural force, a force of nature, something that is almost like a balance to something else, and they often cite humanity as the thing that he is trying to find balance with. As to who is right, it's eternally debated, but really the both factions have been excised from Altitopia and have spent many of the last generation surviving out in the wastelands.
I think knowing that these... will I have found out if there are any blasphemers or naturalists near where we're heading on this mission?
You would need to gather information to find that out.
Okay.
You technically have 1 more downtime activity that I will allow if you would like to use that.
Yeah. I think I'd like to ask around, maybe employ the use of my more savvy social friends to see if I can.
I'm going to allow you to
information.
have 2 die. You won't have to roll the lowest. Just have 2 die and choose which one is the highest.
All right. 6 and a 2.
Excellent. With a 6, you are one of the only members of the team lucid enough to go up to the top brass and ask about what to expect. And they mention that it is very common for the Blasphemers to follow Godzilla in a kind of caravan, similar to the way tornado chasers back in the day would chase tornadoes and follow them wherever they go. You can assume that where Godzilla goes, there will probably be a contingency of Blasphemers or naturalists.
All right. She'll make a note of that in her large Godzilla scrapbook and just kind of circle the name Godzilla over and over and over again until the spirals kind of spiral out on the page. And she'll lose herself in that, and that's what she'll be doing when it's time to leave for the mission.
So, you guys have had your downtime activities, and it's time for the engagement roll. This is going to set the scene for the mission, what kind of position and effect you have. So, it's time for us to have a discussion about how many dice you're supposed to start with. We always start with 1 for plain old luck. Can anyone convince me that there are other reasons why you deserve other dice?
We performed a reconnaissance, talked with the people we're coming to save. We know the situation before we're even getting there. We can plan ahead.
I think it's debatable how much reconnaissance you did, but I agree that you know a couple of important factors, and I will give you that 1 die, yes. So you now have 2 die in your pool.
Saleh.
So some of the options that the game can offer is the mission bold? We don't really know what the mission... Well, we know what the mission is, but is the mission bold?
The next mission's more bold
Yeah.
than this one is.
Yeah, this is just distraction.
Does the mission exploit the target's vulnerabilities?
Regular people. No.
Okay. Is the squad receiving external support for the mission? Definitely not. Are there other factors affecting the mission? For instance, you can take a dot for each of the benefits the squad has. Any other factors?
I don't
No.
think so.
I think we just get the 2.
I will argue that you should get a -1 because there is going to be interference from the Blasphemers and the time crunch that is involved. It's going to be a very specific time frame. So you had 2, and I'm going to reduce it to 1. Unless anyone else has any other arguments, I'm going to need...
This game is bullshit.
The fact that I know that they'll be there, can that offset or like give us advantage in some other way? Like with the loadout, or like maybe knowing that there's going to be more people involved. We could do crowd control.
Or the fact that we would have been able to prep for the fact that the Blasphemers are coming.
We're going to bring our blasphemer killing guns.
We have those. We have those.
Knowledge is power, so I do think that's fair. So, okay, you can have 2 die in this engagement roll. So you're going to roll the 2 die. I need 1 person to make this engagement roll, and its result will...
We're going to fuck up these rolls again.
Who's been hot? Who's been rolling hot?
I feel like I've
usually
only
do
rolled
pretty
2s
well.
and 6s.
Yeah.
It's half and half with you.
I mean, I don't think any of us have been hot today.
I had 5s, but like
Yeah, but you,
Fives.
first thing you did was fall off your neck.
Yeah, that's just like it's gonna be a complication. I don't know if that's safe.
Would you allow 2 of us to roll 1, and then we can take
Sure.
the higher?
Sure.
I'll take one of them.
Cap, you want to do the other one?
All right, I'll roll the other one. Six.
Would you roll, Roosevelt?
I rolled a 3, so thank God.
The
I'm gonna take a
higher
picture.
number is what will count. On a
Beautiful.
6, you are provided a controlled position. This is good. This is very good.
One thing I will do, or Ty will do, Brainy's gotten her jacket, but I haven't found the time to give you both your jackets.
Yeah, I noticed that a little bit, Captain, but I trust you. I knew you were bringing me one. I mean, I didn't think you'd forget.
No. I gotta take care of my crew, and I take out one for Roosevelt. It is black jean material. It is kind of like in the flight-esque type where it has like the fur around the rim. And it has your call sign, and on the back it has your car, the same depiction that you have of on your belt buckle, and it just says, if you ain't first, you ain't killing Godzilla.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to take a walk. And he beelines it for an exit as soon as he can.
Then he pulls out of one, pulls another one out. It's not the same. It's not the same design. Ruse is more of a bomber jacket type of person.
Yes, correct.
It is blue. The inseam is the periwinkle color. It has your call sign on the lapel, Ruse, and on the back. There's a picture of a laptop, and it says, "Hack your way to a better future."
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, I think Ruse just immediately, you look away for a moment and the jacket is on. And they just, yeah, come in. I'ma hug you. I'm hugging you. Here it comes. Oh, it's happening.
I allow it, but I don't step forward. I just don't rebuff it.
I'm coming to you. It's okay.
I'm not going to count these sweet jackets as load against you.
That's like all of our slots.
But we do need to talk about load. As the jockeys, are you taking light, medium, or heavy loads?
I'm not mature enough for that sentence.
So I could be heavy on Roosevelt and medium on Dais.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to go heavy on Roosevelt, medium on Dais.
I'm going to go light for Ruse and probably light on Geneva is the name of my mech.
I'm going to do medium on Carol, because she has so much weird shit on her at all times, and light on the mech because it's a flying type.
I'm gonna go light on Ty, simply because I feel like at the end of the day he needs to be able to move quickly, and he knows because Roosevelt goes heavy, and Roosevelt's his boy. What he lacks, Roosevelt's got.
I got you.
You all leap into the Gotengo, whose engines fire up, and for some inexplicable reason, the front curved rotor begins to spin, and it begins to take off. Are you going underground, or are you going to kind of fly above ground?
I like the idea of flying. I was picturing us flying.
I think we should fly.
And I
just for
the song.
Just for this. Go ahead,
Fortunate Son is playing in
in your cockpit, at least.
Bay. Yeah.
The four of you strap up, you strap in, and you mount into your mechs. Gotengo flying across the sky, the desert, the irradiated wastelands passing below you, until you eventually reach a area that maybe you've seen in the history books, maybe you've seen in photos on the Cognistream. There is the Hoover Dam, visible to your left, to the right. You can see Boulder City, and in the remains of Las Vegas far in the distance.
I think that Roosevelt sheds a single, very manly tear for the loss of Nevada, and he looks to the horizon where the Moose Creek locale used to be, knowing that it's somewhere there in the sea now. And he has all these, Vietnam War flashbacks for a moment. Of Godzilla blocking out the sun, and then he snaps back into it and wipes away that tear.
Lake Mead has changed over the years and is now larger. It is full, and you can see from Gotengo, because of your controlled position, the lay of the land. You see close to the lake the water reclamation team. Then there is the dam, and not far from the dam is the familiar kind of smoke and dust cloud that comes from Godzilla's path. And there, now currently in the distance, the black dot of Godzilla marching ever forward. Because of your controlled position, you can approach with stealth. No one's noticed you yet. There is nothing impeding you. And you all, with the signal from Tai, begin dropping out of the Gotengo to make your moves. Could I ask everyone in order to describe your mech and what they look like? Tai, you'd be coming out first.
My mech, like I stated before, is fairly larger than everyone else with an ominous appearance. Wrapped around where the eyes would be is a very long eye fold, like Lady Justice, but kind of like solid snake length, just kind of caught with a constant flap going in the back. Like somehow the wind always catches it. And I've also described it very much like when Batman has to fight like Bane or someone else, or like when he had to fight like the 1,000 owls from the Court of Owls, like that mech, or when the one that Alfred has to take up. Like it's very heavily armored to protect the person inside, but also he kind of needs that size because he's the one that, if at the end of the day, I'm going to raise holy hell on the grounds in front of me. So I've got all the missiles. Like, I've got the Dragon Zord, basically. The name of my mech is the Justice.
Nice. Carol's mech's name is Big Brain, and it is a pod-shaped apparatus with 4 or 5 rocket thrusters at the bottom. So it's like almost like a little crystal ball in shape. However, it has mechanical tentacles that kind of come out of the back and the bottom, so it gives it like a little wiggly octopus brain type vibe. And then the front of it, so it's mostly spherical except for these tentacles, and then the front has these long pincer arms that can come out to manipulate things or to shoot like a big gun. And it has, for weapons, kind of like little tiny guns that can kind of come out of the sphere and retract back into it. And it's very like flitting around always. And she's kind of like I picture her kind of in this clear like orb that she's just kind of flying around. It does have an ominous appearance, so and it also has kind of like an intermittent camo effect. So either it's like very sneaky and flitting around silently, or its camo goes down and like probably whatever's reflecting on the dome just like looks all distorted and strange. So it looks almost like a large face or something when the camo's not working.
Ruse Mecha looks like a huge, reflective, sort of sleek, probably the most like Transformer looking of the mechs. There's like flecks of different metal in the skin, or this you can say skin for a robot.
The chassis.
And, that. And there's like glowing like orbs or tubes in the hands and head for the sort of like holographic images to project out of their hands. You can't see them. You can see like a silhouette of them, like they're standing behind a projector, but you can't see their face, but they can see out of the little glass, like the one-way glass.
It's beautiful. It's gunmetal gray with silver lining. It still has his number on the front of it, a big 7 from when he used to race. It's still wearing its laurel wreaths from when he took home whatever NASCAR Cup he took home, because obviously I know what that's like. Sponsored all across it. It has a massive roll cage that runs up the front of the sort of car's windshield and then up over the back of the mech itself. Its legs are sort of retractable, but when they're out, they don't actually have boots on the ground. The feet at the bottom of this gunmetal mech floats on a sort of like ever shooting white anti-gravity field that expounds out from all of them. So it's almost as though he's skating at any one given moment. He has a massive stick shift manual transmission that he put in himself because he's been doing this for a while. He was a part of G-Force when it first came around, and he refused to move over to the more gyroscopic mode of transmission, and instead has the original transmission from his NASCAR days. In the windshield, he has a postcard from Moose Creek, Nevada, and it says, if you lived here, you'd be home already. He has a picture of him with 2 different presidents, a picture of him on the day he was inaugurated, and just massively packed with weapons. I mean, the roll cage itself is holding on, a million different pieces that he could easily snap into, and all of this looks as though it could change at any moment. It's a very experimental tech.
I've got to ask, just for the sake of the thing that I had installed, your manual stick shift, does it look like anything? Is it an 8-ball or something special like that?
I like the 8-ball. It's probably something like that. Like
if it's an 8-ball, then the note would have been attached that says, "Don't press the 8 until I tell you to." Signed, the judge.
I mean, Roosevelt's already like thumbing himself over the button and just thinking about it. He's thinking that it's something special.
The 4 mech land on a dry plateau that gives you a view of the land, and you can see Godzilla approaching. You can see that the reclamation team is there close to the water. I'm going to inform you that some of the clocks that I currently have set up, there is a 12-sided clock which indicates keeping Godzilla in one place. I have a 4-sided clock that says that you safely evacuate the water reclamation team, and I have a 6-sided clock with the Blasphemers and whether they retreat or stick around. So those are some projects that you can be working on during the mission. And I have some other clocks of my own, which I won't go into detail until they become relevant. But what is the first move?
I get on the comm system. I say, well, we still have to evacuate everyone here. I'll do my best to keep an eye on things while those of us who are better at caring about people, and I kind of gesture towards Ruse. Rosie, I know you're ready for action. And I want you to take a more forward position. Okay. Stay stealthy as possible. When I give the say-so, go right ahead, unleash holy hell, preferably first on the Blasphemers. Okay. We're gonna play this as best to what the summit wants. We're gonna take out the Blasphemers, and then we're gonna hold Godzilla. Gotcha. Okay. And then suddenly on chat, you just hear the 2 random squawks. That's my version of a wink.
What if we talk to some of them this time? Curious, what they think about the whole, situation there.
How precise can you be, Rosie?
I can be as precise as you like. If you want me to leave one standing, I can leave one standing. Or if you guys want to have your conversation, I can zip the innocents out of the way. And then if the conversation goes wild, then I can blow people up.
I felt something strange earlier. I want to talk to him.
My one concern, Carol, is that the Blasphemers so closely follow Godzilla that we won't really have the chance to have a conversation, because once they see that we are not with Godzilla, they're probably going to do some things against us. We'll aim for 5, we'll probably get 1 alive. Aim for 5, probably 1.
1's great. Also, team, it's a Wednesday, and as we know, that's Godzilla's favorite day.
Yeah, you told me that before. I never understood it. He's a real hump day, that
Yeah. Yes.
I look at the note that Carol left for me, and inside my mech that said, Wednesday is Godzilla's day.
Roosevelt's got a calendar that's just marked down every Wednesday of the month.
I will.
Definitely.
I'm gonna make my survey just so I can keep track of everything.
Okay, this is in a controlled position, and I'm going to say you'll have a standard effect if you succeed at this.
Okay. Individual rolls. 4. That's a 6.
Okay. Ty, you are able to call out to everyone where they should move. They begin descending the plateau and heading in the different directions. We're going to go ahead and put a point towards the keeping Godzilla in one place as you're able to kind of tactically control and corral your team.
I think in spirit of following Ty's commands and keeping an eye on things and, readying myself in the case things go south, I think I'm going to use a vehicle load to retract the legs of the dais and then become this big floating car on, a flying apparatus, basically. The NASCAR takes flight. And I'm going to take to the air to then do like sweeping jet patterns, which really just turn into like donuts in the sky, figure eights. And he's running the NASCAR tracks right now. He's only going left. And he's, just keeping weapons at the ready and watching eye in the sky to ensure that nothing's going wrong with any of the other facets of the plan. And basically readying in action for the second that something goes wrong, he's going to do a nosedive firing pattern.
Because you're not stating any particular action you want to take, it sounds like you want to at least be able to be on the ready. And to do that, you have to remain relatively unseen. Maybe you're very high up in the atmosphere, out of view of the Blasphemers and Godzilla. I'm going to ask for some kind of hiding roll.
What do we think about like a maneuver?
I think maneuver makes sense, yeah.
Okay, cool. I have a 6.
I'm not going to put this towards any particular clock, but I will say that for now, no one has noticed you flying up in the air.
Cool.
I want to try to communicate to the people in the last rover to come to do we have visual on Godzilla?
You can see him in the distance, yes.
Okay. I'm gonna tell them to come to the opposite way, the farthest part of the station, and it'll probably come in the way of a small, very cute, rabbit avatar will pop up on their screens and just say, just so you don't get stepped on, maybe move east. And this is autofill direction, and we'll just keep repeating that on their screens.
You have already established the connection. You're able to get to the team, and they say,
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We've collected the team from the rover that isn't working, and we've moved them into our rovers, and we're moving as fast as we can.
And you can see on your HUD display the projected amount of time it's going to take the rovers to get out of the way safely, and it's not fast enough. You need to act to save them, or they will be eventually met by Godzilla.
Okay.
Even at top speed.
Okay, we'll keep moving, and we'll scoop you, see if we can get you where we need you. I'm going to... Oh, I mentioned something... Okay, in session 0 about a shield.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if I can rush behind them and, scoop them in the shield. And just, kind of... That sport, that ice sport where you just kind of smooth the ice in front of them. That's kind of what Ruse is doing.
Well, with your controlled position, go ahead and make an action roll that you feel is appropriate to this.
Maneuver. That feels like maneuver.
Okay, go ahead and make a maneuver roll. You're in a controlled position, and I will say that it has a limited effect because you have 2 of these machines. So even if you save one, you'll still have to save the other.
Okay, work. Can I push myself?
If you'd like to, yeah.
I'll spend stress. I think this is the first time they've been in the field. They're trying to do a big thing. They're scared about it.
Because you are spending stress, you can either take 1d, 1 die. You can take +1 level of effect. So you can go from a limited effect to a standard effect.
Oh, well then, I think I'll take the 1 die.
Okay.
Instead. Yeah, that's a 3.
Can Carol help? Because Carol cares a lot about these people and saving them.
If you would like to assist, you can spend the stress and give them either another die, an improved effect, or position.
Yes, I'll spend the stress, and Carol does this with kind of elongating the tentacles from the back of the mech and helping dust the ground in front of these vehicles.
You are going to gain 1 stress, which is equal to the number of ticks in your connection clock with Cebi.
6.
All right. Very good. This is why we do this. With a 6, I'm going to say that we were still at a limited effect, which means you are able to successfully pick the one up and you are able to guide it out of the way. But you spend most of the turn picking it up, kind of dashing across the desert and getting it to a position where you know it's not going to get in Godzilla's way.
Okay.
Because of this, I'm going to give you a tick towards that clock. So that's 1 out of 4. You can see that Godzilla is starting to get closer, beginning to walk along the side of the heavy ridge that leads to the Hoover Dam.
Given I'm the heavy mech and I can move more, I will assist.
Okay, it sounds like you're going to want to make a move to pick up the remaining rover, correct?
Yes, just to finish this mission out.
All right,
because I did want them gone.
Give me a maneuver roll. It'll have a standard effect.
I put nothing in there. So 2 with the lowest one, yeah. I left this for other people to do.
I could offer you a collateral die where you could just roll 2 die and pick the highest, and I will say the consequence is in your attempt to move, somebody notices you.
Me personally or everyone?
I'll say you personally.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's a 6. I rolled a 2 and a 6.
Because of the standard effect, I'll give you 2 points to that clock, so you have literally 1 tick left before you're able to save the water reclamation team. I'm going to roll now just to see who decides to pay attention to you. In all of the movement, picking up the machine, moving it back, as you go to turn around, you realize a contingency of Blasphemers in old, beat-up, rusted vehicles, something you'd see from Mad Max, but retrofitted with weapons and augmentations to it, has split off from the group and is now moving in your direction. And you know that any moment now they will engage with you.
Sad day for them.